Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Dynamics Corner, the podcast where we dive deep into all things Microsoft Dynamics. Whether you're a seasoned expert or just starting your journey into the world of Dynamics 365, this is your place to gain insights, learn new tricks, and hear from industry experts. As the Linus's Law states, given enough eyeballs, all bugs are shallow. I'm your co-host, Kris.
And this is Brad. This episode was recorded on February 1st. Or wait, was it February 2nd, Kris? I don't know. 2024. I guess it all is a matter of where you are in the world when you're doing the recording. There are many people in the world. There are many people in this wonderful Business Central community. Each one of them we see online. We see them contributing and doing wonderful things. Each one of them also has a story. In this episode, we had the opportunity to speak with Tom Kapitan, also known as Captain, about his experience with his recent move, as well as his wonderful contributions to the Microsoft Base App Contribution Pilot.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Or afternoon.
Good afternoon.
No,
good
it's morning.
Evening.
It's morning for Tom. It's evening for me. It's afternoon for you.
There you go.
But what always trips me out with this is he is a day ahead of us.
You're in
So
the future.
he is in the morning. He's a day in the future. So on this episode, we get to talk with Tom from the future.
Oh, and I'm talking with you from the past.
There you go.
There you go. So now it's you can tell us about the future, and then tomorrow we'll know about it.
What should I bet on?
Rangers won NHL this year, so yeah, that's probably the main thing.
Okay.
That's great. It's awesome. Well, thank you for talking with us from the future. I don't know how you did it, but you'll have to share your secrets with us during the conversation. But we thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. I have a lot of things that I would like to speak with you about because you do some amazing things and you have some interesting stories. So maybe you can take a moment in the future. You'll save time because you'll come back to the past and then go back to do the future again. But before we get into the conversation, would you mind taking a moment to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Tom. I'm originally from Czech Republic, but now living in the future in Australia, where I moved like 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, because everyone wants to live in Australia, especially because of our weather, like beautiful sunny weather all around. So yeah, and I've been working with Business Center or NAV for last 9 years, and as a consultant, as a solution architect, as a developer, but mostly as a developer or technical consultant, responsible for teaching other developers best practices and how to develop Business Central applications.
And you do a great job of that. So I see a lot of you all over, which is another piece that I want to talk about. I see a lot of the great things that you do. But you moved from the Czech Republic to Australia. Now, in doing what we do in the Business Central space and in the world where a lot of organizations allow for remote work, or some companies have remote work altogether, a lot of people are looking to move, whether it's from here in the United States, from one state to another, or like yourself, from one country to another, or some try to have the nomadic approach and go from country to country. So you mentioned you like to go to Australia for the weather, but what drove you to go to Australia?
Well, that's an interesting question. I always wanted to move to English-speaking country. That was my main condition, because I can speak English, I can speak a few other languages, but not as good as English. So it was my first condition. And yeah, when you think about it, you don't have as many countries around the world where the English is the main language. So you have US, you have Malta, you have South Africa, and of course New Zealand, Australia. So from all these options, I decided for Australia because I always wanted to move to Australia, not only because the weather, but I love the vibe here, I love the culture, I love the people. It's when I compare it with Europe, it's completely different. You know, it's not only because of the weather. It's people behave differently. I may say that they are more friendly, and that's something that I really love here.
So you moved to a country with 9 out of 10 most dangerous animals live.
Yeah. Yeah, if you are scared of snakes and spiders, you probably need to consider moving to New Zealand, because they are a country without any danger animal. They are really close. But yeah, in Australia, it's a bit different. You need to be aware of all these animals, snakes, spiders, but I haven't seen a snake or spider. Yeah, I saw one when we did 2-day hike in Blue Mountains near Sydney, but that was all. Yeah, over the last 2 years, I have never seen any snake in wild. Yeah, definitely in zoo, but not in wild.
Oh, that's good to know then, because that they have the misconception of like the super dangerous encounters animals in Australia.
Well, a lot of that stuff is hype, I think. But have you come across any kangaroos?
Yeah, there's many kangaroos. You can find them.
That would be great to see.
Yeah,
Just driving down the street.
just a few months ago, yeah, in December we went to Tasmania and we saw a few kangaroos there, just on the beach. They were chilling on the beach, and yeah, it was very great because yeah, kangaroos are that's same as in Europe, deer or something like this, animals that you can meet anywhere. And if you go to here in Brisbane, we have the koala sanctuary, like something like a zoo, but it's more rescue station. And there is a huge place where you can go, and there is probably 200 kangaroos, and you can just that's similar. You can do anything with them. You can pet them, you can feed them, because they are really friendly. They are not scared of people, so that's really amazing.
Nice.
I know where we're going, Kris, to do a live podcast. We're going into the future to go play with the kangaroos. But you mentioned the culture is different. We know different countries have different cultures. Even here in the United States, you can one portion of the country, because of the size, there's different, cultural beliefs, but not necessarily as drastic as what you have experienced. I mean, I think each country has its own nuances. And yes, I've heard Australia is very friendly. I heard it's a very beautiful country. I myself would like to visit. I need to get the drive, or I don't even want to say that, just the push to be able to get out and go to some of these other countries. I always talk about wanting to go, outside of what's close here, like Mexico, the Bahamas, and those, Canada. I haven't really gone anywhere. I've gone to Iceland, but I've always wanted to tour Europe or even visit Australia. But you were coming from the Czech Republic, going over to Australia. That must have been quite a challenge, or something that took a good amount of courage to do, because you're going from a non-native speaking country to another language, another culture, to adapt, to get into it. What was the process like for you going through this to get over there, to move there? And I know you have an interesting story, because I saw your post about your great Christmas gift recently too.
Yeah, I think it all started in 2018, because in 2018 I finished my master degree in Czech Republic, and then I went for 2 months or a month abroad to travel somewhere, and I decided to go to Australia just to meet and see what's there and whether I will be interested to move there. So yeah, I spent a month in 2018 in Australia, and yeah, that just confirmed all my thoughts that I want to move there, because yeah, just traveling and meeting people, meeting locals, building the picture in my mind how it could be if I move here. And then I was preparing to move to Australia in 2020. But yeah, you all know that in 2020 it wasn't super easy to move anywhere, especially if you planned to move in March 2020. So yeah, I had my flight tickets, I had everything prepared in March 2020 to move to Australia. But then I had to postpone my plans for 2 years. Yeah, 2 years because of COVID. So that was a really interesting period for me because I prepared everything. I planned this move for 6 months. And then when it should happen in March, in mid of March, just I think 7 days before my flight, I got my visas paused because of COVID. So yeah, it was very interesting. So once it was again possible, because Australia was closed for almost 2 years, and no one was able to move to Australia. Even the citizens were forced to register for their intent to move to Australia and spend 2 weeks in quarantine, and also wait for some small amount of flights to even get to Australia. For Australia, you have multiple options. You have some working visas, and that was my first option to use working visa, because for working visas, for working holiday visa, you just need to be under 30, at least 2 years on university, and that's all. That's the only conditions, and you have 1 year visa for Australia to be here, to work here, and it gives you opportunity to find some employer who can sponsor you, because it's probably the easiest way to get to Australia if you find some employer who can sponsor you, if you have some skills, if you work in our industry, and if you have experience, then you will be able to find some sponsor or employer here who can nominate you for temporary job visa or work visa for 2-3 years. And that gives you enough time to work on some other options, like some permanent residence visas or options, or even citizenship. Yeah, so that's like this story in short. I'm now in the process of getting the permanent residency, but still, it's a long way in front of me. So.
Well, it seems
That's
like you're making
awesome.
progress, and
Yeah.
you decided it's must have been heartbreaking that in March of 2020, right at the height of COVID or the start of COVID, that you have your plans to move, to automatically have that pulled out from under you and not have any idea how long. Because if you're going to make plans to do that, you already start the preparation, you put things in place, and then you have to stop and uh, do what you need to do to be able to stay
Yeah,
located
that
in
was a very
your.
tough period. Yeah, I canceled everything. I canceled my rent. I moved away to my parents because I had my last few days in Europe, so it was really different again to prepare everything to live back in Czech Republic, because no one knew how long it will take to reopen the borders and allow traveling again.
That's a great story. So you were able to find a profession with Business Central in Australia, which is good. It's nice to know that there are options available for those that look to find, maybe residency or visit or work sometime in another country.
Yeah, my plan was always like to go here with some easy to get visa, for example, the working holiday, and then just chill around, try to find a place where I want to live, and look for some partner for whom I can work. But not to be forced. Like, I really need to get a visa in a month, 1 month. I need to find a partner in 1 month. I had 1 year to search for a partner I want to work for. So it was great way, and I think that a lot of people is doing it this way, like having a working holiday visa and then using this period to find employer.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a good
It's
plan. It's something to
fascinating.
consider. It's things that many of us don't think about. I know here we move from state to state and nobody thinks anything of it. But to go from country to country, continent to continent, there's a lot of effort, work, and time, and I'm sure a lot of stress that you have to endure to make it through. Well, I hope that you get your permanent residency, a permanent visa in Australia, and maybe one day Kris and I can take the show on the road and go visit you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I'm on a good way to get permanent residency, but because, yeah, as you mentioned, over the Christmas, that means just a month ago, one of the most critical things you need to get when you apply for any visa is assessment from the authority that's from your industry. That for IT or anything IT related is Austrian Computer Society. You just need to apply to get assessment. You need to pay some fee, like 500 Austrian dollars, and then you need to provide all the proofs that for your past work experience, education, yeah, mainly these 2 points, and they will assess whether you can apply and whether you can use your experience and education to apply for visa. So that's most critical thing, because it's really hard sometimes to prove things, because you need to prove you can use up to 10 years for of your work experience for visa, but to get it you need to be able to prove that you were paid for the whole period, and you need at least 2 proofs: bank statements usually, and pay slips, pay slips or invoices, based on whether you are a contractor or employee. But yeah, I changed my bank 4 years ago, and I was not able to get bank statements from this bank. And I don't think that anyone is storing bank payments for your personal account. So that was really hard for me to prove that I was working in IT and I was paid. So yeah.
Did they come to you to interview you and assess you, or you had to go see them?
No, that's everything is online. There's no interview, nothing like this. For this is just you need to apply, provide all the documents, wait 3-4 months, and you will get the answer. Okay, we are approving this, or we are rejecting this experience. Yeah, I tried this process a year ago. I was really naive when I did it for the first time. So all my experience were rejected except my education, because I did not provide enough documents. I used AI to translate documents instead of some certified translator that you have to use. And yeah, that was a little bit naive from my side. And then I applied again just in June, July last year. And again, this time I had everything. I provide everything that they needed, and still they decided to reject half of my experiences. No one knows why.
Wow.
Because I then sent I don't agree with this outcome, and paid for reassessment, and they said, yeah, we made a mistake, and all your experiences are enough for this job, and enough for to be assessed as ICT related. So yeah, after all, in December I got my assessment that all my experience since 2014 and all my education is it's related to ICT, and I can use it for future
Congrats.
visa.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
chuckle, I know it must have been hard as you go through it. You can look back and laugh and joke about it, but I can only imagine the stress that you had to endure for that. And last question I have on this. Were you in that state that you were in, before you got this latest update that you have, or even now? Are you allowed to freely leave and come back to the country and move around? Do you have any restrictions in that type of scenario, or can you go
No,
anywhere?
I can do anything. I'm on the sponsored visa by my company, so that means that the only limitation is that I need to work for this company, and if I want to switch a company and start something somewhere else, they need to take over the nomination and renominate me.
Okay, well, I hope that you end up getting the full citizenship that you need after this long journey. It's you've gone through a lot and you do a lot, but through it all, you still manage to participate heavily in the Business Central community through your stressors, which is an amazing feat. I know I see a lot that you do primarily It's a conversation that we had a year ago, and most recently we had another follow-up conversation with Jesper and KB about the open contribution pilot, the base app contribution pilot, which I see that you do a lot in that as well. So we had the opportunity to speak with members of Microsoft about that program, but someone like yourself who's actively involved in it and participates in that, and among other things in the community, I wanted to talk with you about that to get your your viewpoint of that, and some of the experiences that you have in working with that.
Yeah, I really love this program because for me it's not. I was always a huge fan of open source and open source contributions because I think that it give you opportunity to improve the product much in different way than it's when you compare it to when the product is closed, because input from a partner or input from other partners is completely different from what Microsoft get. Microsoft is building application that they think that it's good and marketable, but as a partners, we have different view, we have different requirements sometimes, and different pain points. For us, something that's just few lines of code may be more important than complete refactoring of service module, for example, because we just have to live with the input from customers, and we need to think what's most important for our customers. And I think that the open source contributions, it give us the ability to change these things, to improve the product, improve these small pieces, and get them into business center master branch within a month. And yeah, I think it's a very great opportunity, and I think that we are probably the first ERP that's built on this open contribution program.
You do more than just contribute to it, because I see with it, because the way the program works, and maybe you can jump in and help explain it for those that may not have heard it in detail when we spoke about it in another episode, or if we didn't cover it. You not only submit issues and work on issues, and because as part of that whole process, it requires at least 2 reviewers from somebody involved in that program to review the code, say they approve the code, and then Microsoft will also do their review so that they can ensure the compatibility with the base application and what their features are going to be working on it. But so you work on that, but I see that you also, on top of doing many contributions, you help and comment and review almost all of the other ones. Most of the I spend a lot of time reading the pull requests and reading the issues and reading the changes. And as I had mentioned in a previous episode, I sat and kind of watched for a little while because I was a little, how does this work? How is this going to work, before I tried to do my own, change. But I see that you are involved in all of that too, which is amazing. And I don't know how you have the time to do all of that, but you seem to. Anytime I look, doesn't matter the time of day. You may be in the future. Maybe it's because you're in the future. But it can be any time, my time. If I could read something in the morning, and I see it, and next thing I know, a comment pops up, Tom saying, you need to do this, or I would change this, or I like this. It's great. It's constructive feedback too, which is what I like.
Yeah, as I said, I was working with all levels of developers over last years because I was responsible for teaching them. So having pull requests, it was the core for this, because we started in my previous company. We started with pull requests in 2019, I think, because I really think that it's the best way how to improve not only the contributor, but also me as someone who is reviewing the pull request, because you can see different approach to problems. You can learn from other developers and share the feedback. Okay, I think that this could be done a bit different. That does not mean that you need to apply my suggestion. That's just, I have a different view for this problem, and we can maybe have a discussion what's the best solution. And I think that this pull requests and code contribution and helping other developers or even discussing about the customization is a really great way how to improve your programming or coding experiences.
I agree with you completely because sometimes you work with the application and development. You may not think of things or think of other solutions. And this contribution pilot is forcing collaboration from many different people. And so you're getting many different viewpoints and thoughts versus maybe just the same group of people that work together all the time that may think similarly. You know, if somebody teaches you or somebody works with you, you may think a lot of similar patterns. But if you get individuals from all over, you get a better breadth of knowledge. I don't know how you have all the time to do all of that. Do you sleep?
Yeah, I need like 4 or 5 hours a day, so it's a lot of time for all other activities.
No, that's good. You do a great job. How many contributions have you done?
I don't know. I don't count it. I have a list of my contributions or a list of all contributions to Base program, but I don't know the number. I think that I'm not even the one with the most contributions. I think that there are other contributors, at least one with more pull requests. But yeah, we have few quite active contributors, like 6-7 people who are really active. And I don't know the number of all contributors, but I think that's around 40 contributors who have who did some contributions that was merged into the master branch. So yeah, I think it's really a good program, and it will be definitely improved in the future, because for now, yeah, as you said, it's still pilot program for the base app. It's almost 1.5 year since it started. But from last November, we have the base BC apps repository for system apps. That's a huge move, because that made, we now have a GitHub repository where not only contributors from partners, but even Microsoft people who are actively working on any BC app or system app are working on. So they are using the same repository, same program, so we can see not only other pull requests from other people from the community, but also pull requests from Microsoft. We can see what's new in a next major release, and actively participate on commenting and reviewing their code and suggesting new changes to these customizations. I think that's very great.
Are you commenting on that code too?
Trying to. They are sometimes too quick for me to answer to comment anything, because harder to comment anything on these pull requests. But yes, trying to share my input too.
So I have a question for you, Tom. Then, what's your method? I mean, obviously you're making a lot of contributions. Do you have a method of which one to pick and help, assist, comment over other things?
Well, for pull request review, I do probably a review of all pull requests. I don't care whether it's something I understand, because if it's part of the system I'm not familiar with, there are still some parts of the system I'm not familiar with. I still can share my view on the code practice and whether the programming code was done in a good way, or it could be improved just from the code perspective, not from the process perspective. And for the code contributions, I try to choose only those contributions that are in the system, in a part of the system that I'm familiar with, or I had, for example, requests from our customers, or I had to fix something in the past. And because that's one thing that I really hate, to do things twice, for example, to fix or add the same customization for 2 customers. And that, as a partner, we can create some add-ons, app source apps for these reusable parts. But if it's something small, something that you maybe just hotfixed for instead of Microsoft, you can move this hotfix to base app and apply and make life easier for everyone.
It does make life easier for everyone, and the part that you hit that's key is if there's enhancements to the to the application that fixes issues. partners don't have to do that over and over and over again for each implementation or keep doing it. It goes into the application once, and then now everybody gets the benefit of it, and it makes for a success for the Business Central application.
Mm-hmm.
And you had mentioned that you submit the issues yourself and wait for them to approve to work on them, and then once they do, then you work on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some process in place this process still is in development, because that's why the whole program is in pilot phase, because Microsoft needs the ability to change the whole process, to improve it, because they don't have experience with any similar program. So we are trying to build it. And for now you need to submit your idea for a bug or for the improvement, but the improvement must be previously logged to BC ideas. So again, if you have idea to change something, you need to go to BC ideas, log your idea, get a few votes from other people, not only from people from your company, because Microsoft already mentioned that there were a few ideas with a lot of votes, but all the votes were from the same company, done within an hour after submission, and then after the next 2 months there were no votes for the idea. And then you can submit
That's a good trick.
To be honest, I did it too a few times. Whenever I have some idea, I will just send it to Teams, to my company. Please vote for this idea. Then I send it to BC Yammer user Yammer group for BC ideas too, to get a few more votes. And with this approach, you can get 30-40 votes probably without any effort. Yeah,
I'll have to have you put my ideas in then, because I put in some ideas, and one of them was done, but the others, I have to get some more votes for. I have to go find them and have
you. You got to give me the link. I'll vote it for you.
Yeah, I'll have to start sending them to you, Tom, so you can
tell everyone in your company.
Tell everyone to get the votes up. Awesome. It's a good trick. I was thinking of getting several different email addresses for myself, but I guess this is a better way.
Yep. I don't know if you use the Yammer group for BC ideas, because
yes.
I think that's very great place for sharing these ideas, because you will get, I don't comment ideas on BC ideas because it's super strange system, and sometimes I wrote my comments, click on the submit, and just get some strange error. We can't submit your comment for the idea. So it's easier to comment everything on Yammer, and so you will submit your idea, and then you can get a few comments from people, and if you get few comments on Yammer, Yammer will propagate the comment to other people on Yammer, because there will be more active readers, active contributors.
That's good. I'm going to do that. I read a lot of those Yammer groups. I'll make a post every now and then, but I'm not a big fan of the Viva Engage now. I think it's what it's called. They change these names every day, but the Yammer Viva Engage, I don't like the interface, to be honest. I think it's a bit difficult when there's new messages and the way they collapses them and goes up, and I just have a hard time sometimes. It collapses the ones in the middle, so there could be like 13 comments. You only see the bottom one. You have to go back and try to scroll to find the one that you haven't read yet. It's a very difficult interface.
And also if you are active, then you see there's a lot of same questions, but that's normal, because the search engine on the you can't search anything. You can't find anything on the page. So even for me, I know that it was discussed 3 days ago. I want to send a link someone that it was discussed in this in this discussion, but I can't find it because you can't search for anything there. So I agree, and especially if you work with this app from mobile, then it's horrible. Then that's terrible.
It's horrible. I don't understand. I mean, I understand what it could be used for. I don't know if it's meant to be used for what Microsoft's using it for all of these different communities, I guess you call them. They have one for ideas, they have one for app development. They have a bunch of different communities.
I think they call it groups, not communities.
Groups. Yeah, I forget what it's. I don't know. The names on these things change all the time, and I'm not even. So the community may be the Microsoft thing, and then the groups within the several of them, which is different to work with. So you've been working with Beast now for what 9 years? You said, right? 9 years.
Yeah, 9 years, probably in 2014, so 9, 10 years almost.
So you didn't have the joys of working with the 2009, the old stuff. You jumped right in with NAV 2013, right after they made the switch.
Well, I started my first 2-3 projects were 2009 R2 and 4.0. So yeah, even though when I started there were 2013, my first projects were with 2009 R2 and 4.0. So the really old versions. So I have experience with all the versions. Yeah, in 2017 I did some upgrade from 3.7, so really old versions.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of those out there.
Was that an upgrade when you went from 4.0 to 2000?
No, it was re-implementation.
Oh, re-implementation. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that you can do upgrade from 3.7.
No, that would definitely be a re-implementation.
Yeah.
It's the functionality of the application has changed so much. The data, do you really even need to bring some of that data over? You'll spend more time and money trying to get it to fit than just maybe re-implementing it and taking advantage of the new functionality and maybe doing some data warehouse reporting alongside, with Business Central. So you still can keep the data, but you don't need to put it within your environment.
Yeah. To be honest, I did once the upgrade from 2009 R2 to 2017. And it was really, really difficult because I spent probably 70% of the whole project just fixing data in old system before I can even start the data upgrade. So yeah, it was really
I laugh, and it's not because
me
of
too.
what you said. I laugh at what you said because I've lived that on several implementations back, because I've been doing this for a long time. And that's how it used to be, what we always say is the wild, wild west back then. So there was just, you had access to the tables. People just did stuff. So like you said, if you need to have a consistent process for upgrading, or so it's repetitive when you go through your testing, you have to clean up all of the data at some point because it just won't convert properly. So you have garbage on that system, or you'll get a million errors and you'll have a headache for it.
We can laugh about
that's
it
why
now.
I laugh. Yeah, that's one of those I have. I've had some painful stories because even when you're trying to even implement, someone needs to clean up their data, and they have somebody who's manually doing it in between. And every time they give you a file, it's different. So I mean, we could share all of those stories too.
The horror stories.
I could talk about that. I could talk about implementation horror stories. We need to see, Kris. These are some of these episodes we need to have. Implementation horror stories.
We should, every guest that comes on, we should always ask them, what was your horror story in your experience working in NAV or BC?
I like that. Kris.
And then we'll compile it all by Halloween. We'll just compile all those horror stories.
You have to remember to write this down though at each episode.
I will bookmark it, and then we'll just compile it of just have a big old session of all the horror stories of ERP of all the guests that has come on.
Yes. So we can start with you.
Oh,
I want to say Mr. Kapitan, right? Because I think it sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll just call you Mr. Kapitan.
Oh.
He's a captain.
Yeah, Kapitan.
Yeah, I'm a captain.
Yeah.
He's a captain.
Yeah,
That's
when you translate Kapitan from Czech language, it's captain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So captain. So he's the captain. I'm going to call you captain from now on.
Okay.
And that's your new nickname when you're in the community.
If I see you online and we're talking online, I'm just going to say captain. I think I'll have to change your name for my view too. So I just see captain. It would be good because we cross paths occasionally. So what was your worst horror story for a Business Central, a NAV or Business Central implementation? So you were the first guest that gets to answer this question for Kris's compilation.
Probably probably project one of the projects in NAV 2017. It was a manufacturing company, and it was implemented by different partner. But even after 4 months after the go live, their results in the system were completely bad. Like everything was not working, the processes was not working. It was a very customized solution. So just to save this project and this implementation, it was probably the worst story, because I spent 4 days a week on site with this customer for next maybe 7-8 months, because it was large company.
Wow.
It was large company, like precious metal manufacturer with a lot of specific process, because the precious metals, it's very different how you need to evaluate everything, or how to price everything, and the previous
Yes.
partner tried to implement item adjustment and these processes to meet their requirements, but I would never do such thing. Like you would never do custom item adjustment process, because it's probably not possible. And this was probably the worst story.
Were they coming into NAV 2017 from something else, or?
I don't remember. I think they had different system, not NAV, but I don't remember, because when I came to this project, it was already, we spent 9 months implementing this project. Now we are 3 months after the go live, and it's still, we are not still able to use it. The chart of accounts shows number like 10 times higher, 10 times lower than it should show. We are not able to get any financial results.
Sounds like someone just injected something in there. Some data.
Well, they probably use some sort of data mover tool or something just to put it in there without validation.
No,
So
I think it
that
was caused by customizations, like the customization corrupted
that
data.
gets you too. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Because the customizations get you. So thank you for your horror story. That's horror story number 1, Kris, for the record. So at the end of the year, we'll have to have a compilation, and for each guest, we'll get that. To go back to the open source the contribution pilot, it's not really open source in a sense, because you contribute, they review it, and they approve it. It's still, but I still think of it as an open source. The process is still relatively new. Again, it was October 2022. As you had mentioned, when they announced it. I think it started taking off in November, and then it took a little while for some traction to get going, because I think everybody was kind of trying to figure it out. You're quite active on there, and you do quite a bit. And with the process being new and where it is, what would you like to see changed in the process that you think could make it better? So not from, Sal, this is from, members of the community that are working with it and making several contributions. What do you think? Not saying it's poor now, not saying it's bad, but sometimes there's always things that you can do for process improvement. What would you recommend as a process improvement to make it easier to work with from a contributor point of view?
Yeah, I think that there is a few things that can improve, but we shared a lot of them with Jesper, because he wants to hear our feedback for their process. But I think that the most important is to get the code review from Microsoft more quickly, because for some pull requests, we are waiting a month, 2 months just to get a review from someone from Microsoft. And this could be probably improved in the future, especially if it's some larger customization. Then it's important to get feedback from the responsible person or responsible software engineer from Microsoft, because we have sometimes few questions about the best practices, about how the process should be done, and what we should do. For example, one of the largest contributions I have still active, it's still not merged, is refactoring for transformation rules. That's just a refactoring, because currently transformation rules are not extendable. It's enum marked as extendable, but you can't add custom value, because then it won't be called anywhere. So my contribution is that I switched the whole implementation of transformation rules and used interfaces to make the transformation rule really extendable. So, and still, we are waiting from Microsoft for Microsoft to get feedback for this pull request. We got some feedback, but still I have questions about the best practice of using for interfaces, whether to split more interfaces and whether they want to have 30 coordinates just for transformations to have good design for the transformation rules, because with interfaces, the best design I had is to have 3 different interfaces for transformation rules to follow the best practices, but it would require 30 objects just for I think that now we have 14 transformation rules. So just to implement 14 transformation rules, we would need to have 30 or 25 coordinates. So yeah, that's probably one thing that can really improve in the future, and
So
will
is the efficiency and the response from Microsoft in the code review process is one thing that you could see could make it a more pleasurable experience. Are there any other things that you think that they could improve upon? I'm just asking as well, not necessarily just for them, but I'm going to do more. Hopefully, maybe I say that just because we're recording it, but I just want to know what I could run against.
That's one thing that I want, but it's long-term plan probably, and it's to make the localizations available through the contribution program, because right now it's only W1 version, the Word version, but a lot of pain points, especially in Australia. It was different in Czech Republic, but in Australia is that our version is super old, and the customizations are sometimes in conflict with the W1 version, and there is a lot of things that needs to be improved just for the extendability again, because sometimes some things need to be refactored. We have custom processes that are probably already covered by W1, but no one has evaluated them, so we are still using different things in Australia than even though that they are already available in W1. So that's one thing that won't change probably in next 2 years, but long term, I really want Microsoft to consider this, to make these things available to you.
I would like to see what they're doing, because now they're decentralizing the localization, or they're centralizing the localizations. I think they're going forward with the different and almost making them like for the equivalent of what I call like extensions. So I think
I have a lot of stories around this topic too, because Czech Republic was one of the first delocalized versions. It took almost 2 years to complete the delocalization of Czech Republic, because we had a lot of customizations. It was a tough period for partners, because there were breaking changes almost in every update. That was very interesting. That's a very interesting topic too.
Oh, no, see, you have a lot of experience, which is good with dealing with that. I was thinking maybe with like I said, decentralization, but the delocalization, it's late over here, so my brain gets a little foggy. I was hoping with that they eventually get to that where they can open source that, or have a contribution pilot where you can see and report bugs and report issues. I know there may be some regulatory requirements as far as those localizations as code is concerned, but as you had mentioned, I think some of the features of functionality can be updated, improved without impacting any regulatory changes or regulatory requirements that have for country. I mean, that's the risk I could see with some of the localizations, but there isn't a risk, in fixing some things that just don't work properly, which is good. Well, Captain. I have to say captain, not Capitan. I want to say Kapitan, because I've heard
Captain
on a television
Australia.
show or something somewhere. No, just captain. We'll just call you Captain or Kapitan. I like the way it sounds. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us. You have an amazing story. It takes a lot to move from one country to another, as well as continue and maintain professional lifestyles, also as well as contribute to the community with the open source contribution. Some of the other things that you do with your blog, I was taking a look at as well too. So I appreciate your contributions, appreciate your feedback, and most importantly, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us this morning, this evening, from the future, this afternoon, whatever we want to call it. But at this
Are
point in
you
time,
going to be in any of the conferences coming up this year?
Yes, I have a session about open source at Dynamics Minds in Slovenia.
Oh, nice.
And then I hope that one of my sessions will be approved for Directions Asia. So let's hope at least these two conferences in May. Because from Australia, everything is too far away for me. So at least these two conferences.
Yeah.
Yes, Australia is way down there. So I know there's a few in North America coming up. We have Directions in April, North America. I think DynamicsCon Live is in May. Then there is Summit North America, or Summit in Community Summit in October.
Yeah,
so I think it might be too far for you.
Yeah, I wanted to visit DynamicsCon Live, but it's the same week as Direction Asia. The DynamicsCon ends on Wednesday and Direction Asia starts on Thursday. So with the time difference, it's starting probably the Thursday is before the Wednesday. So maybe, I had to decide for.
Last year, someone did that, like where they came from Asia and then they flew overnight and made it on like the second day at DynamicsCon. I can't remember who it was. I was like, that's a crazy trip.
Probably Shannon, maybe.
Could be, yeah.
But if it was like Direction Asia before DynamicsCon, it's easier because you have one spare day due to time difference.
That's true, because you're ahead.
You're
ahead of day.
Yeah, exactly. I'm from the future.
Yeah. He's from the future. That's it. You're going back in time. That would be interesting. Like you leave on February 2nd and you come back and you land on February 1st.
Yeah.
Like that's. I mean, we could do it here technically, Chris, if you because just with the amount of time it takes to travel. Well, no, because if you go from coast to coast, there's a 3-hour time difference, but it's a 6-hour flight or a 5-hour flight. So I think you could time it where you land maybe at 11, which would be 2. So you land close by, but
that's the same when you travel from Australia to Europe. From Australia to Europe, it's only 9 hours. From Europe to Australia, it's 26 hours.
Yeah, there's one time that I traveled to Asia where I lost a day because by the time I landed, it was like 2 days later because they were ahead.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, that's literally when you travel from Europe to Australia and you depart on Monday evening, you arrive to Australia on Wednesday morning. So you will lose the whole day.
So
yeah, so it's. Well, I don't think I'm not certain if I'll make Dynamics Asia because I am going to DynamicsCon Live. Dynamics Minds, I'm not certain as well. I would love to. It's tough because that's also in May, and I just have to see how the schedule goes. I mean, they have all these great conferences. It's tough to choose the ones that you'd like to go to. And like you mentioned, sometimes distance does play a part in that because you have that time in between to get there. But thank you very much, as I was mentioning, for taking the time to speak with us. You have a fascinating story. You do so many great things. And I'm sure that we'll meet up in person one day at one of these conferences somewhere, or maybe at another location, and we'll have to have a beer or two. And you have to keep me abreast of any of your deadly creature encounters. You have to put it on Twitter or X, whatever they call it. Post the pictures. I do want to see pictures of kangaroos, so you should post and share some of those. I'd be interested in seeing
sun tanning. It sounds like at the beach.
But I would it's like you see some of these animals which are wonderful. I mean, I enjoy animals. I like all animals. Well, mostly all animals. But just to be, you see them on TV, like we see them on TV over here, right? We don't have kangaroos walking around, but then when you go to a place and they're just out in the wild, it's just amazing. And, you can easily take it for granted. But it's nice to see you have an appreciation for it. But I would like to see some of the beauty of Australia.
Yeah, like from the animals, I think that the most beautiful is koala. Like the koala and probably wombat, these two native species in Australia.
Yes,
they are
that's
probably
right.
the most amazing.
And you see those in the wild too?
That's much harder. I saw wombat in Tasmania in 2018 once in wild, and few koalas probably last year once somewhere. We drive somewhere with a car and saw a few people stopped near the road and looking somewhere into trees. So we stopped too, and there is a koala somewhere.
That's so
that
that's
must
so
be
fascinating.
that's great. I have to do that over here. I just have to stop on the side of the street and just act like I'm seeing something, just to see. But you do a lot. You contribute a lot. How can, if somebody has any questions, they would like to get in contact with you or learn a little bit more about any of your experiences, how would you recommend that somebody get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can contact me on X or LinkedIn or I will call it still Yammer because it's the URL address for it. So I don't even remember the last name they use for it, but in the URL you still see Yammer. So for me it's still Yammer. I'm active on all these channels, so you can contact me on any of these three.
Great, thank you. We'll put the links to your X/Twitter, LinkedIn, and Yammer profile as well, because I see you on all those areas as well. Thank you very much again. I hope you have a great day and enjoy the time in the future. If anything happens that I can bet on or gamble on or something, and I need to know for tomorrow, please let me know.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so
very
much.
Thank
Have
you.
a good
Bye.
Have a good day. Ciao, ciao.
Bye, you too.
Thank you, Kris, for your time for another episode of In the Dynamics Corner Chair. And thank you to our guests for participating.
Thank you, Brad, for your time. It is a wonderful episode of Dynamics Corner Chair. I would also like to thank our guests for joining us. Thank you for all of our listeners tuning in as well. You can find Brad at developerlife.com. That is DVLPRLIFE.com. And you can interact with them via Twitter, DVLPRLIFE. You can also find me at matalino.io, MATALINO.io. And my Twitter handle is matalino16. And you can see those links down below in the show notes. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, and take care.